Hi everyone, welcome back to another SmugMug Live with me, your host Alistair Jolly. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is episode 83 today, and wherever you are in the world, it is great to see you here on the show. As always, SmugMug Live is brought to you by SmugMug and Flickr. So if you're looking for somewhere to showcase your images to the world with an incredible photo website, looking to store your images in the cloud, or have a really robust e-commerce solution, then check out everything we have to offer at smugmug.com. Or if you're looking to be part of an incredible photo community, then please check out everything we have to offer at flickr.com. I can already see some of you in the chat window there posting some comments. Give yourself a shout out. Let us know what part of the world you're joining us from today. It's always good to see you there in the chat window. And if you have any questions for today's guest, then again, post them in the chat and we will ask those questions of my wonderful guest today. I'm so excited to finally get the chance to have Meghan MacAskill from the Wild Bloom Studio joining us today. So let's head over to the Bay Area in San Francisco and see if Meghan is with us. Hi, Meghan. How are you?
Hi, Alistair.
Hi, how are you? You well?
I'm doing really well. Thank you for asking.
Good. It's good to see you. Are staying safe and sound over there in California?
As best as can be expected, the weather's
Yeah.
getting really nice and everybody just wants to go out and enjoy it.
We want to go outside now,
I
please.
know. We all just want to have a summer.
Hopefully, fingers crossed that will happen very, very soon, that we'll all be outside. And of course, as a portrait photographer and someone who specializes in kind of family photography, a lot of what you do is outside as well as in a studio, yeah?
It is. I think that I'm very fortunate that the place that we live in is very shootable year round. Unlike places where it rains and it's very cold in the winter, we're outdoors shooting in the Bay Area 12 months of the year.
Yeah, not jealous at all. Show off, but it's not like that here. But yeah, and you're not far from our headquarters in the Bay Area, so you and I do get to bump into each other from time to time. But we haven't done
That's
it for a
true.
while. Normally, we bump into
I
each other
know.
either in California or at trade shows, but it's been a while. Like everybody, we've been stuck indoors. Let's see who's joining us today over in the chat window. See if you recognize anybody that's with us. Little love symbol from Junori, Jenny. Hi, welcome to the
Hey.
show. Mauro is joining us from Slovenia. I like the making clients for life. Yes, so do we. And we'll definitely get talking about that soon. Randy, afternoon. Randy is joining us.
Hey.
John Brown joining us from the Dog Pound, as always. Good to see you back, John. Jim and Judy Tetzlav. Good to see you.
Hello.
Hi, glad to be here. We are glad you're here too. They're from Northern Illinois. Who else is here? Kenneth is here from Denmark. Thanks for joining
Wow.
us. Patrick is joining us from Lincolnshire in England. And
Hey there.
Starlene says, I can't hear. Well, that
Oh,
looks like it's working on our end. So hopefully it's just you, Starlene, and not us.
sorry, Starlene.
Yeah, but hopefully it's all working fine. Tim Blair says, good morning from Sunset District, San Francisco.
Hey, my neighbor.
Is your neighbor? Hey, hey, neighbor. Hi, Prompty World. Yes, good to see you all there. So thank you so far to all of those people giving us a little shout out in the chat. It's always nice to see people there. Another one coming in. Kathy says, hello, friend.
Hey,
People you
Kathy.
know. Jen
Yes.
is joining us from New Jersey. So lots of people in there already. It's great to see so many of you there in the chat window. So I described you as a portrait photographer, someone I know that kind of specializes in family photography. Would that be an appropriate way to describe what you do?
Yeah, I think that I shoot mostly families and newborns, but from that branches out a great deal of other genres that I make myself available to my clients for. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah, and there's so much that you do. In fact, I've queued up a few photographs to maybe give people an insight into the type of work that you do. As you mentioned, newborn photography, which is some of my favorite work of yours is the little newborns. And it's been a busy year for you with newborns, yeah?
It has been. I've been surprised that in COVID, as soon as we were able to go back to studio work, I had clients that were just ready to get back to it. And we had to take a lot of precautions, but it's worth it.
Yeah, you only get one shot at getting newborn stuff. They're not
Yeah,
little
they
for
only
long.
last about 2 to 3 weeks is how long you can get that newborn window, and then it's gone. So,
And then they don't sit still long enough after that.
mm-mm.
And then, a lot of beautiful family work. And a lot of your work, when I look at it, I love the outdoor feel that you have with a lot of your family work, but especially the lighting. You work a lot with some really beautiful lighting. Maybe I'm just jealous because it's California lighting.
Well, lighting is sort of the end all and be all for me. It feels like you can have the perfect moment and the perfect family and the greatest gear ever. But if you're not harnessing your light, you're not really controlling the feeling of the photo.
Yeah.
And mastering that light is very important.
Yeah, I'm just running through some of these photographs to give
Yeah.
people a feel, but the tones and the quality of light in your work always stands out to me. But more important, I think, is the connection that you show between the subjects in your photographs. That it's not about, and this is, again, I love this when photographers do this. They don't make it about the event. They don't make it about the photographer. They don't make it about the whole theater of getting your pictures taken. This is like intimate moments with family. I love it. I love it so much.
Thank you.
What's your
This
sorry, I'll go back. You were going to say something there.
This is my daughter. And I think sometimes when I'm just itching to create something different, I take out one of my kids and we shoot.
Yeah, you're very fortunate to have 3 beautiful young ladies in the house.
I
So
do. Built-in models.
never short of a subject or two. Are they getting to that age yet where they don't want to be models?
No, instead they like get in front of my camera and they won't make cute kid faces anymore. They just get very
Pouty.
for the photo.
Yeah, I'm at the point now. Maybe it's the boy girl thing, but my son just will not be in front of my camera anymore. Like I miss taking photographs like this of my son at that age where they're willing to be subjects and enjoy the moment. Now he's a teenager and just doesn't want to.
You can't trick them. You can't trick them as easily at a certain age.
or bribe them as easily as we used to be. So tell us a little bit about this one. This is a lovely moment, but it's obviously a little bit more structured than some of your other stuff.
So this is at one of my, mini session dates, Valentine's Day. And there's this beautiful pink wall that I like to shoot against, and it's urban. And I have clients come out to do it outdoors with me. And this particular shot I photographed, and I thought it was just a cute idea, like pretend like the balloon is going to lift you up, like in the movie Up. And after I got home and posted this photo, I had a bunch of feedback from people that said, "Oh my gosh, it looks like a Banksy." Have you, the artist Banksy has a piece of art that looks exactly like this, but it's a drawing. And I thought it was so funny that we arrived at the same place from 2 totally different artistic expressions.
Maybe you are Banksy. Nobody knows who Banksy is. So maybe it is you. Maybe you're conning us and this is actually worth, $10 million.
I don't think I would have enough time for that.
Hey, if it was worth $10 million, I'm sure you would find the time for it.
I'm sure.
This is a glorious moment. So sunflowers. Speak to me about sunflowers. Is this somewhere local? Is this somewhere you can take your clients to?
There's a great deal of people in my area who drive out to an area in the East Bay of San Francisco and, just crash these sunflower fields. There's been tons of articles written about how it's trespassing and, these people are kind of destroying the sunflower fields, these photographers in their effort to get the photo. Yeah. And I just never wanted to do that, but I always wanted the sunflower photos. And last year I contacted a sunflower farm in Half Moon Bay, which is near me, semi near me. And they have a U-pick sunflower field. And I asked her if she would be willing to, give me permission for a fee to use her sunflower field. And she was so grateful. She said, no one's ever asked. People just assume they can come and do it, and no one's ever asked me. And we developed a really good working relationship, and she rented her space and her farm to me for, I think it was like 6 days last fall in September.
See, there's a lesson already, folks. Like, ask, be respectful,
Yep.
pay for the use of what are props and other people's hard-earned products that, you know, they want to sell these things. So for us to just go out there and trash them is completely inappropriate. And probably with that, well, we'll maybe talk about this later as we get into the little presentation part of it. But that whole respect and trust and building up relationships, as you say now, I'm sure you can go back there whenever you want, and she knows
Yes.
you're going to be appropriate and someone that she's willing to have back there at that field.
Well, we've sat down a couple times since then and talked about what else they can plant that would be photographically pleasing that I would want to use. And so, like, we have a relationship now that I love. I think just the respect in general is something that as a new photographer, you don't understand. Respecting locations, respecting, the process is something that you don't really think about when you're a new photographer.
Yeah, it's definitely something you wanna do is build up those relationships and be respectful. So yeah, just giving people an idea of the type of photography that you do to let people see the kind of portfolio. And as you said, family portraits, newborns, but even before they're born, a lot of maternity work as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I like to be a whole life photographer. I think that's maybe what my tagline should be, photography for your whole life, because I don't just want to take pictures of your newborn and then send you off into the world, or just your family once a year. Like, I want to be there for the maternity and the newborn and the 1-year birthday and when your kids are seniors in high school, I want to take pictures of that. When your family has a 50th wedding anniversary for their parents, I want to be there for it. I want to be there for everything.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful work. And yeah, you've been very kind to put together a little presentation for us today. And I promoted the show as Making Clients for Life. And I know it's something that you approach every day. Every time you work, with the focus of making sure these clients are, just so impressed with your work and love the experience that they'll come back again and again. But without stealing too much of your presentation, I'll let you present your screen to us and let us talk through this presentation. I just want to let folk know that if you have any questions for Meghan at any point today, just post them in the chat window. And once Meghan's finished her presentation, we'll get to some of those questions. So do you want to check your presentation is playing?
Yep.
There we go.
It is playing.
All right. Okay, over to you, Meghan. Thank you so much for doing this.
So I have to admit, I might have over-prepared. So I will try not to let this run long, and I will try and kind of get through some of this a little on the fast end, because I just over-prepared a little.
That's good.
So today I wanted to talk to you guys about, some of the tactics I use for not just booking clients, but making it so that they come back over and over and over again. I have clients who have been with me for 12 years since I started my photography career in earnest, and who have been coming to me for their first, second, third, fourth babies, family photos every year. I think that it's a really great thing to be able to grab people and get them to come to you in the first place. But I think it's a specific talent to bring them back year after year and have them be impressed and want to keep working with you year after year. If you do that, you don't have to chase down all the clients. You only need the best and the ones that you love the most to keep coming back. So I'm going to give you some tools for that today. I feel like we cannot even have this conversation without talking about how experience is such an important part of your photographic memories and your desire to come back. When we look at photos, we remember a time in our life. And if your family photos were a horrible ordeal, you're not going to look at those photos and love them. You're going to not love them so much. So I feel like these two things go hand in hand. You have to provide your clients not only with the best photos, but also the experience that ties in with those photos. so that they love the photos even more than just technically proficient, right? I think this is a perfect quote, is being a successful photographer is more than just creating beautiful images. So today I want to talk to you about 5 steps to winning lifelong clients. Make it easy, be different, take care of the details, make it fun, and consistently deliver awesome. One of the things that I see a lot of photographers struggle with is the process of booking them. I think in order to have your clients, who are very busy people, want to work with you over and over and over again, you have to remove some of the roadblocks to booking you. And we see it all the time. Photographers are not necessarily business-minded. They get into it because they love the photography, they love the artisticness, but the business part of it is not really there. And I struggled with a lot of this myself in the beginning. Not answering emails for weeks and weeks and weeks. Not having a really consistent system for getting clients their photos in a timely fashion. Think about when you work with like contractors and you're trying to get someone to do a remodel on your house. Finding a contractor who will respond to your emails in a timely fashion and give you a quote in a timely fashion is sometimes the deciding factor between who you hire and who you don't hire, right, Alistair?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So as a photographer, you don't want to be that. You don't want to be that person who doesn't respond, doesn't follow up, because it doesn't inspire trust. And if you're going to have people who want you to photograph their family, they have to trust you. So respond to your emails promptly, have a clear pricing list that lists everything. It doesn't have to be public on your site, just having it available to send to people when they ask for your pricing, and having your pricing be very clear to understand. Removing all the barriers to booking, sending contracts and invoices in an easy digital format that people can fill out at home. And then employing proactive booking, which I'm going to talk about in a second, and then making every single client feel important. Doesn't matter if they haven't worked with you before. Doesn't matter if they've worked with you a million times before. They should feel important every time you work with them.
Absolutely. It's interesting, that thing you say about responding to emails. You know, my previous life as a wedding photographer, I used to be quite analytic about making sure everything was done promptly. And I used to hear a lot from clients who would tell me that, other photographers they had reached out to had just never replied to them, or replied in such a tardy fashion. It just made them question the professionalism. Right. So yeah, if you take one thing away from this presentation, it's respond to your emails and do it in a timely fashion, for sure.
Yeah. I think, and you also hear the horror stories of people not getting their photos for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, sometimes months and months and months, with no response. Like, when am I going to get my photos? I have no idea. These are things that you can address in your business practices. Yeah. So
pretty simple stuff.
Proactive booking is something that I employ, and it's something that I am a huge cheerleader of. I think if you want to be successful and you want to be booked all the time, instead of sitting back and waiting for clients to contact you and ask you if they can book something, there's so many clients who are sitting there watching your social media feed. They're seeing what you're putting out there and they want to be a part of it. But just that step of reaching out to you to say, okay, can we book you? What's your pricing? When are you available? All that kind of stuff are roadblocks for people. I know they're a roadblock for me. I just don't always have the time or the energy to try and wrap my mind around booking something. So I employ proactive booking. That's me as the photographer saying, these are the things that are looking really beautiful in our area right now. We have wildflowers. We have some certain locations that are only good certain months of the year. And instead of sitting back and waiting for people to approach me, I put out there like, hey, this is wildflower month. If you want to book anything with the wildflowers, these are the dates I'm available. You can push this button and book a time slot, either for a mini session or a longer session. It doesn't have to be just mini sessions, but this is what I'm doing. And this is what I'm excited about this month. Don't you want to be a part of it? And I show photos of what it would look like. I think clients need to see and imagine themselves in those photos. So you show what you want to book, You plant the inspiration, you provide options, have an online booking system, and you create hype about it. You talk about it a lot.
I'm going to come to you with a question. I hope you don't. You
Sure.
okay if I interrupt you with questions because it's relevant to,
No, I don't mind.
what you were talking about. Starlene came back with a question, so I guess you can hear us now, Starlene, which is great. What is considered a timely fashion? Time has changed. Some folk look for things to be instant. What do you think is a timely?
So I like
fashion?
to get sneak peeks to my clients. So sneak peeks being, I'm going to post a photo from your session within a couple days usually. And usually I run home giddy from a session, edit a photo really quick and post it right away. That for me, like, you're capitalizing on the fact that your client is so excited. They just came home from their session, and having that instant gratification of within 24 hours seeing at least one of their photos is very valuable. Also, as far as delivering the set of images, I'm not a wedding photographer. I feel like wedding photos deserve a little bit more time, but for portrait sessions, they're delivered to my clients within 3 weeks. 2 to 3 weeks is what I promise.
And what about from the business side of things, your communication, emails and that communication thread? What do you think is a timely
I don't
fashion?
I don't like emails to lie for more than a few days, maybe 2. I try and book in now, and I didn't used to do this, but I book in days of the week that are my administrative email days. And on those days, I try and clear out my entire inbox.
Yeah, cool. Randy says communication skills are so important today, and one of the business skills that photographers need to learn. Absolutely. And it's something you can learn, and it's something you can also find systems and processes that make it much easier than it used to be. Ada says, as a fan favorite of Meghan, this is spot on. She makes us feel like we are one of a kind. Responding on social media immediately is great. So there you go. Mm-hmm. It's working for you. Right, we'll go back to the presentation.
Thanks, Ada. So I like to create a lot of hype. I clearly am on social media. I think there are ways to do this if you're not on social media, but clearly I post a lot of photos on social media. And in those photo postings, I post a call to action. I say, don't you want to be a part of this? Don't you want to be in this photo? Don't you want to be in this location? Here's how you can. You need to educate people for how they can work with you, because if you put yourself on their side of the lens, they don't necessarily know how to work with you. If they're new clients, they don't know how to book you. So you need to educate them. Understand that on their side, it may feel like, wait, I like her work, but I don't, his or her work, I don't know how to go about booking with them. So educate them, tell them, and you can't tell them enough. People don't see all your posts. I have a mailing list. It's very robust. People can opt in to subscribe to my mailing list, and that mailing list is for me to send out calls to action. I'm going to be hosting these dates. These locations are looking really great. Don't you want to book something? They're not spammy. I only do it when I'm hosting dates. And from experience, I have clients who want to know when I'm going to be dropping those emails, when exactly they're going to be going out, because they want to book. And my session dates often sell out within like an hour. So they want to know so they can be on refreshing. Yep. You need to constantly be pushing yourself as a photographer. Clients love seeing that you're doing new, exciting things and that you're trying new techniques and new locations. And that also increases their trust in you and their excitement. Instead of just, you're going to take our family photos and they're going to look like every other family photos we've ever taken, they are going to know that you are going to create something different and unique for them. And then engage. We talked about this too. Personal touch is key. I'm constantly talking to my clients on social media, and I follow them on social media so that I can comment on what's going on in their life. So we engage with each other a lot. My second step is be different. I think we are in a world of constant new photographers entering the space, which is awesome. It's driving photography to a different level. But if you're going to exist in that space and you're going to stand out in that space, you have to be different. What makes you different is obviously like on a case-by-case basis. I can't tell you what makes you different from everybody else, but I can give you some tips for how to stand out a little bit.
You like the tips? That would be great.
Yeah. So, concepts. Obviously, like trends hit the market all the time, and photography is sort of, especially portrait and family photography, is kind of a trendy profession in that people will all be doing a similar technique, editing style technique, similar setup, similar styling. And we go through these phases. And I've been in the photography industry for 18 years now. 18 years ago is when I picked up my first camera. And I've watched the trends come and go. I don't know, Alistair, if you have wedding photos that are super trendy of the times. When I was getting married, my engagement photos, some of them are in black and white, and I'm holding a rose, and the rose
color.
Is red. It's in color. Mm-hmm.
Spot color was all the trend, and now we look at it and we cringe.
Yeah. So I think being aware of the trends is important. Your clients are going to ask you for those trendy things, but knowing how to take that inspiration and put your own spin on it and still find a way to make it classic and something they won't regret is something that's very valuable as a photographer.
For sure. I do have some regrets in my career of some of those trends that I followed. And,
that you created? Yeah.
Oh no, I didn't. I don't know if I ever created any trends, but my career's was 20 something years ago. So we've seen it all. That's for sure.
Oh yes, yeah. I mean, following trends, but not necessarily partaking all the time is probably a good idea. My other secret sauce is naming things interesting and unique names. Like my packages are not named the same thing as anyone else's. When everyone in my area was doing mini sessions and calling them mini sessions, I opted to call mine something else. I think that it helps them stand out and be different than everyone else's. And I can garner a different price tag for them because they're not the same as everybody else's. So I think we've seen this with Apple. Apple, at a time when all the other computer companies were naming their computer companies things like IBM and Microsoft, Apple chose to name their company something different, and it really had an effect on them standing out in the market. So if you take that from their experience and you choose different names for yourself that help you to stand out, whether it's your packages, whether it's your offerings, whether it's the name of your brand, standing out in the market is a good idea. It's part of why I chose to move away from my original photography name, which was Meghan MacAskill Photography. It was hard to spell. It was hard to remember. It was hard to shout out at someone like, just go check out my URL. And it also was, everybody was naming their photography company their name.
Yep.
And I just wanted to stand out. So be different. And then obviously personality. Use what you got, use your personality, use your warmth, use your approachableness, use, the parts of your personality that apply itself well to family photography. That will help you a great deal stand out from the crowd. I like to call myself an unlimited photographer. And that means that when people ask me what I specialize in, I don't specialize in anything. And the reason for this is I feel like it's very limiting for me to be only doing one type of photography. I get bored and I want to do all the things. And so I feel like there are some perks that aren't often talked about when talking about specializing. Specializing can be a really great thing. I'm not knocking specializing, but I think especially in this last year during a world pandemic, we saw a lot of photographers who specialize in event and wedding photography suddenly not be able to do their craft. Yeah, and sure. By diversifying, I felt like I was able to more easily combat the limitations of COVID. And I'm hopeful that we will never have something like this happen to us again. But knowing that certain markets can crash, certain photography has its seasons, being able to do a range of photography. So I do boudoir photography, I do couples, not weddings, but I do pretty much every kind of portrait photography in the middle. And that means that my newborn clients will come to me for maternity and then newborn and then 1 year and then family. And then when they're having an event, they'll ask me to photograph it. And when that mom is turning 40 and wants to have boudoir photos taken, she'll come to me. Like it means that I don't have to chase after as many clients. And instead I get to have just a smaller pool of clients who provide all of the work I need. But it also means that you'll have more demand. You'll have more demand because you can do more things. And it's interesting because certain clients of mine that would have never done boudoir have chosen to do boudoir because they trust me and they've worked with me on other things. And then they see me post boudoir photos and then they want boudoir photos because they are willing to do it with me in a way that they wouldn't have sought out someone to do it with. And it also garners you a higher price tag. You can charge more. It's just like surgeons learning new techniques and being able to be more in demand because they have that, wealth of knowledge and ability. We are the same. The more you further your abilities and your techniques, it is all encompassing. Your lighting techniques apply from one type of genre to another, and there's crossover there. So being an unlimited photographer is a really great thing for your business and to make clients come back over and over again. Just a few photos.
Yeah, just on the unlimited aspect, I guess, as a wedding photographer in my past before working at SmugMug, I lived off repeat business and word of mouth, and the repeat business was not necessarily the same client, although I did photograph more than one wedding for some people over the years,
that's funny.
when the second and third weddings. But, the repeat business was making clients for life in that aspect was the bridesmaid or the sister or,
right.
Friends that were at the wedding. So everything you do isn't just being watched by the client you're working for at that moment. You're being watched and assessed by everybody around the event. And, as the type of work you do, when you deliver the final product, it isn't just the photographs you're handing over, but it's the stories that your clients tell to their friends and their families. And that word of mouth is, what really secures business over and over again, way more than anything else you could ever pay for.
Word of mouth is the best, because then you get clients who are related to your clients. They're going to be similar. They're going to want similar things. And they chose you because of the experience that they were told about and the photos that they've seen. So you're already in the door. And so referral-based business is how I get most of mine as well. Although a larger number is coming from Instagram now.
Yep.
I'm still, like 80% referral and then 20% other. So,
because, it was word of mouth. Now it's word of mouse, or even word of mouse doesn't make sense anymore because less and less of it's done by mouse.
I actually really like that. I haven't heard of that before. So another thing that I think is an important thing, and this ties back to being proactive and being on top of, getting your clients in the door, is if you take care of all the details. I think we often forget as photographers that certain things just come naturally to us. We know what time of the day sunset is. We know when the best locations are going to be at certain times of the year. We know what's best for you to wear in photos. Your clients don't know that. And I think we take for granted that we have to educate them, and taking care of the details, making it so that your client doesn't have to worry about anything. You're going to give them everything they need. All they have to do is show up in their outfits with their family and you'll do the rest. That is going to make your clients come back over and over again, because it's a hard thing to shop around and find a photographer in the first place. If they feel like you took care of them, they're not going to go with anyone else. So timing, making sure that they know what time is best. I think I used to let people push me around a lot in the beginning and say, oh, this is what time of day is best for our naps. This is what time of day is best for our kids' moods. And I used to say, okay, I can handle that. I'll just do a 10 o'clock in the morning shoot for you. And now I'm a little bit more firm about making sure expectations are set. If you want 10 o'clock photos, that's fine. They will not look like the rest of my work that you see me post. And that is all lighting, and it's important. So if there's a way that you can make these times of day work, it's going to be so much better, and you're going to like the photos more. Styling, I have access to a styling service, but just giving your clients advice and insights and information for how they can best dress themselves for photos so that it elevates their photo experience. It elevates the way they look in photos. It elevates the way that you compose your family. It's styling isn't super important, and I'm an advocate for let people dress in their normal clothes, let them wear what they want to wear. But at the same time, some people want help with styling, and that's part of your job. I send prep guides to my clients. They know where to meet me, when to meet me, where to park. I send maps. I send them exact details for what to bring with them. I remind them to bring treats and snacks and water and all that kind of stuff that can be really a deal breaker when you're working with kids. So taking all of that guesswork out for your clients so they know exactly what they're supposed to be doing. Questionnaires. I have questionnaires so that clients can tell me whatever it is that they need to tell me about their family so that I'm prepared in advance. And I always follow up with them and make sure they know what to expect after. The amount of times that people have told me they drive home from their photo session with another photographer and know nothing about what to expect next. They don't know when their photos are coming. They don't know when they're going to see sneak peeks. They don't know, anything about the after process. So I make sure my clients know what's coming next, what's going to happen. Number 4, and this is maybe the most important one, is make it fun. You're working with families. You're working with, even if it's not with families, if you're working with portrait clients and, branding clients, your efforts to make it a fun, enjoyable experience and to put them at ease will go so far in making them like the photos more. The number one reason why most people don't get their photos taken that I've heard is that they're scared that it's going to be a pain. They're scared their spouse is going to be cranky about it. They're scared their kids are not going to like it and not behave. There's a lot of fear there. And if you put yourself on the other side of the camera, and if you've ever had your own family photos taken or any other kind of photos taken, there's nervousness there that you need someone who's going to take charge and put you at ease. So your job is to put them at ease, but also make magical photos and make it a fun experience while doing that. So I'm a former dancer. I was in performance in high school, and I really thought that was going to be my career. So I put on a show. That's what I do. I feel like it's a performance art to be a photographer in some ways. So clients get out of their car to come and work with me. And the very first thing I do when they get out of the car is I get down on their kids' level and I joke with them and I talk to them. And I start feeling out what their kids' personalities are like and how they're going to react to different situations. And you can't use the same tact on every kid. Some kids just need you to put them at ease by joking around right out of the gate. Yep. And if you do that and you get an in with the kids, the parents are going to be on board. You don't need to have conversations with the parents right when they get out of the car. You need to have conversations with their kids. Yeah. So I'm going to give you some secret prompts that I use. But I have a laundry list of prompts that are in the back of my head at all times that I break out depending on the kid. And here's a few that I use. I think what you have to understand about kids is that you have to take normal things and make them funny. And you have to not be afraid of making an absolute fool of yourself. So some of the prompts I use are, I will tell them that they are not allowed to smile. And it will be something like this. No, you're not allowed to smile. This is a no smile. You will go to timeout. Oh, you're smiling now? Mom, she is smiling. That is not okay. Not okay. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like you have to play it for a while. And eventually unless they're a really rule following kid, they're going to break into smile because they cannot hold it in. I like to share secrets with kids. I really love to get them in on the process. And so we'll have a secret and I'll bring them over and I'll be like, okay, don't tell your parents. But when I say the code word, you're going to go and run over and tickle them and hug them. And the code word is cake. So when I say cake, you're going to sneak over and you're going to tickle them, but don't tell them. And they just think it's so fun to be a part of whatever it is that you're doing. It's just a big game to them.
Yeah. Being part of the theater of it all. I love that.
Yeah, the theater of it all. Yep. And you have to be really just unabashedly like silly. Nobody cares. Nobody's judging you. Games, I like to take common games that kids are very aware of and know about, like Ring Around the Rosie and Red Light, Green Light. And I just change the rules a little bit. Like we do red light, green light, where I say, okay, but when I say red light, you're going to make this face. And when I say green light, you're going to make this face. Let's practice. So we take normal games and make them fun for photography, make them work for your photography. And then songs is my last one. One of my best prompts ever is asking kids if they know their ABCs and telling them that I'm still learning my ABCs and then asking them to correct me if I get them wrong. And then I start singing them really loud. I'll have put the family in a position that I like. I'll have pose them in the right light in where I want them, but kids are wiggly. And this is how I get them to look at me and smile is once I've put them in position, I sing the ABCs and then I intentionally sing them wrong. And I sing them wrong on the letters that when they correct me, it will get a smile look out of their face, like
a good look from, yeah. And I guess the trick with all that is to make sure you've got the people where you want them.
Yes.
Before you do the prompts. There's no point doing the prompts when you're not ready to take the picture, you know.
No. So it's always a process of, okay, we're going to go over here. You're going to stand here. You're going to stand here. You're going to stand here. And I'm very quick with the posing part of it because kids lose interest super fast. And so put them in the right light, put them in the right place, holding hands so that, you know, they're going to stay fairly close to that. But then by stepping back, if you just disappear behind the camera, the parents have to try and hold their kids nearby and keep them close because otherwise kids are going to last 3 seconds, then they're going to run away. So having these games and these fun activities for them to do will keep them where you want them and get them looking at camera and giving you an expression that you want.
Yeah, great stuff. And again, these are things that the parents will then talk to their friends and family about how, you know, Meghan used all these techniques and everybody was having such a great time. And as well as them being great techniques for capturing the photograph, they're great techniques for marketing as well, right? It sets you apart from the others, as you mentioned earlier.
They help you. I mean, they help you create rapport with your clients and create good moments and authentic expressions. Because then you're not saying, okay, say cheese. Okay, say cheese. Like that gets really old in the course of a session, and you have to have other ways to make them give a natural smile.
Gets old instantly.
Yeah. So, and then the last one is maybe the most no-brainer, but you need to make every single session count. Every single time you take a client out, you need to be thinking about ways you can create something new and exciting that's just for them. Clearly, we all have the same poses that we run through or the same spots we go to in different locations. But your clients knowing that you're going to make an effort to give them something unique and special that is very geared towards their family dynamic or who they are or who their kids are is super valuable because they will come to you because you know them and you are intuitive enough to understand what it is that they want in their photos. So I'm constantly finding new locations because I have clients who have been coming to me for 12 years and they've used every one of my locations. And so I'm constantly, every year, I have 3 or 4 brand new locations that I'm offering to clients and trying to get clients to utilize. So there's that. And then there's also like bringing new elements into the mix every year, new techniques, constantly education, you know, upping your game. Um, I have kind of a story in that when I was a kid, I remember us going to a family photo session with our entire extended family. And my mom was very nervous and trying to get us all there on time. There was 5 of us kids, and we were dressed in our Easter best, which was very a sign of the 80s. And, smocked collars and stuff. And we were running late, and I had forgotten my shoes. I think I was like 6 or 7, and I was wearing tennis shoes, and I was supposed to be wearing my Sunday Mary Janes, right? And my mom just was livid at me. She was so upset, and there was not enough time to go back and get my real shoes. And so she just, was kind of giving me a hard time about it the whole way to the session. And when we got there, the photographer just rolled with it. The photographer just said, "Oh, no big deal. I'll just put her back here. We'll tuck her feet behind people. No one will even know." But every time I look at those photos now as an adult, that's all I see. That's all I remember. Yeah. And I'm sure for my mom, it was the same. And so I think our memories are tied to those photos. If you have a great experience, you look at the photos, you see the great experience in the photos. If you have a terrible experience, you look at the photos and you don't like them, because that's all they inspire is memories of the bad experience, right? So all people really want is to have great photos, great moments with their kids, and that's your job.
Yep.
So, and finally, you have to care. You have to care about your clients. You have to care about kids if you're working with kids. You have to care about newborns if you care about newborn, or if you're photographing newborns. Like, you have to genuinely care. And if you genuinely don't care about these types of genres and this type of photography, then you should do a type and style of photography that you do care about, because it shows
100%.
if you care. I think there's a conversation that happens that I see a lot among a lot of professional photographers, where they want to be very picky about, rescheduling or refunding or reshooting and charging people extra, and, all the ins and outs of that. And I'm not saying that's not a bad idea, but I'm saying that you will win clients for life if you always consistently go out of your way to make it right. If they're not happy, if they have to reschedule because they have a sick kid, if they have kids that are just having a bad day and they're not behaving as expected, you going out of your way to make it right and to make sure that they know that you care about them is priceless. So, I always reschedule if my clients have a sick kid. Okay, we're going to reschedule. You have kids, you can't control that. If their kids are being terrible at a session, it's never the parents' fault. They need to know that it's me, and I am going to make sure their kids behave. And if their kids don't behave, then we will reshoot and hope for a better day, right? Or, and I never, ever point out to parents if their kids are being particularly a pain that day. I always put on a happy face and say, like, your kids are the greatest. Your kids are awesome. Don't worry about your kids. I've seen worse. Like, it's never the parents' fault, because the last thing they need is to feel bad about their kids not behaving. Yeah. And then make it right. If they're not happy, whether it's your fault or not, make it right. My tier 1 clients, those are the clients who come back year after year, who work with me multiple times of the year. They also get perks. They get extra sneak peeks. They get first dibs on all of my upcoming sessions. I host a mini session date every Halloween time, where any clients who have booked a session with me that year can come and have a free photo taken of their kid in their Halloween costume. And it's just an extra perk for them for being a valued client.
Yeah.
I know. And it's something that most people would never book that. You would never pay to have photos taken of your kid in costume usually, but it is a really nice thing to have. And then just love what you do. That's it.
That's great. And you've got all your Instagram contacts details there, but they're also, all that information's in the description of this YouTube video, so you can see all those there as well. Thank you so much for putting that together. There's several questions and comments come in while we were talking there, so I'll get to those those questions now. Shout out to Carol, who says, very good point that folks won't see everything you post on social. Yeah, it is a great point that a lot of people think, oh, I'll promote this and everybody will see it. But you have to be conscious that social media doesn't work that way.
Right. I think I've heard the rule of three before. Like you have to post it at least 3 times to, hopefully get your entire audience. Not everyone will see it if you post it once.
Those days are definitely behind us where everybody sees everything. The algorithms don't
Yeah.
work that way. Question from another long-time viewer of the show, Gary. Hi, Gary. How you doing? He says, what tools do you use to both organize your time, keep track of appointments and deadlines, as well as keep track of communications with different people? What are your business
That's a good
tools do you
question.
use?
I'm a famously disorganized person. So everything that I do now has been, learned over trial and error. I have a Google spreadsheet where I keep all of my sessions that are, in process. Like once I've shot the session, that's where I list what memory card it's on. All my memory cards are numbered, when it's due, what the client's information is, their email address, that kind of stuff, what type of session it is. So all of that is in a Google spreadsheet. I have a Google Calendar where I, keep track of all of my upcoming sessions. I use Calendly for clients to self-book their own time slots. And I've set hours and dates that I'm available for various sessions. So they can self-book themselves that way. And once it's booked, then it's no longer available on my Calendly calendar. I don't remember any of the other things he asked specifically about what you keep track of.
Keeping track of communications.
Communications, email. I have one email inbox where everything goes. And when I clear out that inbox, as I address those emails, I move them to, an archive folder so that I can see in my email inbox, like what things still need to be addressed and taken care of.
Cool. You don't use any of the kind of third-party services that a lot of photographers
I
use
do
these days?
use studio software HoneyBook, and HoneyBook I use for my contracts, my invoicing, and my some of my communications. But they go through my email inbox. Once they send me an email back, it goes into my email inbox. So I just address them through there.
Cool. And then a question from Tim. That's a great question, actually. What's the best way to gain your first client? Ooh. If no family or friend will pose for you, how do you get spec shoots?
That's a really good question. So obviously my first thing is, go to all your family and friends and offer. But if for family and friends are not available to you, the next best thing is to join groups, join Facebook groups, in your area that are photographer based. There's a bunch in my area that are specifically for clients who are seeking out photographers, or just overarching, like photographers and clients live in those groups, and photographers will advertise upcoming mini sessions they're hosting, and clients will also reach out and say, I need a newborn photographer or whatever. So you can join some of these groups and you can put out, hey, I'm looking for models. I'm interested in shooting this type of session. If anyone would like a free session, please reach out to me. Please comment, that kind of stuff.
Cool. Thanks for the question, Tim. Morrow asks, your photography looks very natural. What advice can you give to achieve that spontaneous look from your subjects and turn everyone into a model?
So I love the concept of putting people where they need to be for the right light, the right background, the right, setting, and getting my money shot. The money shot being the photo where everyone's looking at the camera and smiling nicely. And, I explained before how I do that with prompts. But then after we get the money shot is when I start playing with trying to get them to do other things naturally. So I have certain games that we play where I can get them looking at each other, or I tell everyone to look at mom and tell her what they want for dinner that night, or, like getting people to move and talk is a good way to make them be more natural. And movement in general just makes people more natural. You're going to get those candid moments so much more if you encourage your clients to move, whether that be twirling, tossing their kids, tickling, walking. Movement goes a long way to create natural moments.
Absolutely, I agree with that. And natural shapes and lines and the way people touch each other is very different when they're moving from when they're standing thinking they're posing for a photograph. So
I think it's a very different thing to ask someone, okay, look at each other. And instead look at each other and with your eyes, thank each other for being the best dish doer, laundry folder in the whole world, right? Like giving them something that cracks them up or gives them something to think about actually brings emotion and feeling to the eye and to the expression.
Yeah, so authentic, absolutely. Randy asks a geek question. He started a geek question. Is your site completely done in SmugMug? Outside of the blog, it looks like you use pages as well as galleries. Can I answer that? Because we're so proud to have Meghan use SmugMug, and you're bang on, Randy. I actually have it queued up here. The Wild Bloom Studio is all built on SmugMug outside of the blog, and it's beautifully done, Meghan. You've done a great job on building this site. A lot of work has gone in, obviously, to creating a lot of the graphic elements and the photographs, but it's a beautiful site, and you've been with us a long time.
I like to say I'm OG. I've been here for 18 years.
Yeah, you're making SmugMug sound very old. I also love the fact that your wonderful editor marketing partner is also Meghan. Two Meghans.
Yeah, we're both Meghans.
Yeah.
Meghan squared. Yeah. So about 4 or 5 years ago, I hired a full-time editor. She's fantastic. She is part of the magic of how I can take as many sessions as I do. A lot of what you see on social media that I post is both of our editing. She edits the bulk of my sessions, and I often will run home giddy from a session and edit a couple of sneak peeks and post them because I can't wait. So you see both of our hard work there.
Yeah. Shout out to Meghan. Hi, Meghan. And then, just popping into your client galleries where clients can go find their work. Your portfolio is all just folders and then galleries built on SmugMug. So, I don't want to make this a sales pitch for SmugMug, but you asked the question, Andy, so you are right.
Well, I think there's an element here to talk about also about how SmugMug has inspired that trust and that lifelong quality with my clients too, because I store all of my photos on SmugMug as a backup storage. I have them stored on hard drives, obviously, but as a secondary backup option, all of my photos live on SmugMug for the foreseeable future. Eventually, I retire them, but they're still there. And I love that ability to still provide my clients with their photos if they come back 10 years later and ask. And it's happened. I've had clients who've had their house burned down or their computer hard drive crash, and they just have come back asking, do you still have them by any miracle? And I do. So
yeah, it's always nice to be able to let clients easily get their images or easily buy them. You mentioned that at the start of your presentation. If you can make things easy and painless for clients,
make it easy.
It definitely helps, and hopefully we can do that by using SmugMug. Marnie asks, I wonder, what do you do if you are having a bad day? How do you cope with being bubbly and energetic when you're not feeling it, I guess?
I think this is funny because I've worried about this in the past, because I definitely I'm not always this way. And so we all have bad days, but something happens to me when I go out on a shoot. Everything that's happening at home, everything that I might be stressed about or worried about kind of just disappears. And I go fully into, business mode. And I'll forget to eat. I'll be at mini session days for hours and hours and hours, and just everything else doesn't exist. And I think that's when you really know that you're in the career that you love and that you're in the right place, because you can just zero in on what you need to do in that moment for that family, and everything else you can pick it up when it's over, when the session's over.
Yeah. I had a long conversation with another photographer recently, a group of photographers recently, about some of the routines that we do to try and get in the zone or get in the mood when maybe you're not feeling creative or you're not feeling like, doing whatever
Mm-hmm.
genre it is you do. And a lot of us spoke about music, listening to the same type of
Mm-hmm.
music or your favorite music on the way to the session.
Yeah. Yeah.
Certain clothes came up in the conversation. People always, if they feel comfortable, if they're in their work clothing, then they feel like they're in the
Mm-hmm.
zone, or the type of things that they eat. Even people talked about, certain fragrances or smells that they maybe have either
Yeah.
wearing or stuff. So it was a really interesting conversation about those rituals and those routines, some superstitions as well that people went through before
Yeah.
going to photograph a
I
wedding or a session.
I'll get myself like a fancy coffee if I'm having a day and I'm on a way to a session. Like I'll book in a little bit of extra time and I'll leave my house a little early to get myself like an expensive coffee or something on the way, and that helps with my mood.
Yeah.
And I also, if I'm nervous, because we all still have nerves sometimes,
Yep.
especially when we're doing a type of session that we've never done before or that we're not super prepared for. And I keep a folder on my phone, several folders on my phone of images that I've screenshotted that help inspire me. They help me
Yep.
get in the zone. If I'm waiting for my clients and I'm feeling really nervous about, creating something different and exciting for them, I will go to my image folder and it helps me get inspired.
Yep. Get in the mindset, and I guess whatever it takes, you have to find your thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, try all those different things. I actually used to stay away from coffee. That was one thing I would avoid. Um, you
Oh,
know,
no, no, no. I have ADD, so it focuses me.
yeah. Well, I guess photographing weddings, you're there for 8 hours or something with not many bathroom breaks. So I used to avoid, I used to
Yes.
avoid coffee at all costs.
Isn't it
Um,
funny when you used to do weddings, though, that you could just like everything else stops? You weren't hungry, you weren't,
yep.
bathroom, nothing. Like
Yep.
you were just in the zone.
Your whole body got engaged with it and got in that
Yeah.
zone from. And then as soon as the wedding was over, you would crumble and crash in a heap. But
Mm-hmm.
Rihanna asks, how old were you when you started photography, and how long did it take to feel confident in the photos you took? Thanks, Rihanna. That's a wonderful question.
This is a funny story because I've told this story before, but I vividly remember setting up my Barbies for photo shoots. And I don't know if anyone in my family remembers that, but I used to set up my Barbies for photo shoots, and I had one of those, cameras that you advance the film by, with a wheel. And
Sorry, what do you mean? I used to have, remember one of those cameras? You just made me feel very old. Thank you, Megan. I made my living on cameras that you had
I
to
think,
advance.
well, I mean, I never entered the professional photography space until digital was a
I know,
thing. And
I'm
I had
teasing.
one of the early digital cameras. But yeah, I used to set up my Barbies for photo shoots. And then I was always the friend in high school who had a camera. It was never a good camera. It was always like a point and shoot or a disposable camera. But I just always was fascinated with photos. I think, but it never occurred to me to make it a career. I fell into it kind of by accident.
And how long till you felt confident in doing it? Or
Oh,
are you
that's a
there
good
yet?
question. I think the answer to that is never, is never. Like if you're ever just confident, then I think, well, confidence is fine. If you're ever complacent, you're never going to grow. And so I like putting myself in situations where I'm shooting something I've never shot before and I don't know if it's going to work. But the more you try that and the more you gain technical knowledge, the more like, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is going to work. I'm not positive and I don't know what the outcome's going to be, and it's going to be a fun adventure. But especially with studio lighting, I've been pushing a little bit lately to just try new things, and it's really fun.
Rihanna, thanks for that question. It really is a very interesting question, and we could probably do a whole show on when you think you're ready. My personal advice would be just start photographing. The more you press that button and the
Mm-hmm.
more you actually do it, don't wait around until you think you're ready, because you're going to miss a whole lot of opportunities, and you're going to miss making mistakes. A lot of, your career's about making mistakes and rectifying them. So yeah, just get started. The hardest bit is starting. Once you're on that
Mm-hmm.
journey, it gets easier. So hopefully we've inspired you a little bit. If you're in that space where you're not feeling confident enough, it really is about just breaking down that wall and just starting
Yeah.
and getting on with it, unfortunately.
If you think about photography, we don't usually have degrees in this. We're self-taught. We have, most of us, figured it out along the way somehow. And every click of that camera is like, it's like writing a paper, or it's, like, it's every session you do, I should say, is like a test in your photography course. You're just self-administering yourself a course in photography. And when you start getting approached by people to take their photos, and they say, like, what do we owe you? What do we need to pay you? Then you're there. Like, charge money for what you do. I think I shot for a lot longer than I should have for free because I was afraid to ask for money. Um, but at a certain point, your photography is your job, and you should be paid for it.
Absolutely. Starling asks, how do you scout for locations?
Ooh, this is a good question. Um, I'm kind of fanatical about locations. It's a big deal for me, because I get very inspired by new places, and I do everything from scour Google Maps satellite views. As I'm driving around, I look at places on the side of the road, and if I have time to get off the freeway and go, drive around it, I will. I like to hike a lot. So a lot of the locations I find are from visiting different hiking trails. If it's close to parking, has, easy walkability, and is, the right lighting and the right combination of backgrounds, then I'll put it on my location list and my clients can pick it if they want to. I also think there's an element there of, if other people post their photo locations in their photos, if you follow a lot of photographers, some of them will tag their location. And I keep a running list of locations that photographers have readily tagged, and I'll go scout them when I have time. I'll go look at them and see how I feel about them. Um, there's also this element of photographers asking each other for locations, which is totally fine and great. Because I spend so much time and effort and energy finding new locations, it's a lot of the job of photography. And I don't like to readily give away my locations. And so I always offer people a trade. If they want one of my locations and they're willing to give me one of theirs that I don't have already, then we just swap.
My goodness, there's so many questions coming in. This is great. Let's see. Gary asks, what's the biggest thing you do now that you didn't do at the start to make clients come back repeatedly?
Ooh. I think that I was afraid for a long time to be myself, be my own vulnerable, personal self, and let people into my world. I always felt like, no, this is a business relationship. You're the client, I'm the photographer. And I think expanding that and allowing people into my world a little bit has helped me gain photographers that stay because they become friends. I used to not like to talk about how I had kids because I didn't want people to view me as a mom with a camera. And I think my being a mom is a strength, not a weakness now. Um, I think that something I didn't used to do that I do now is the proactive booking. I used to just sit back and wait for clients to book me. And now I really put it out there, like, this is what I'm excited about right now. This is where I'm shooting recently that looks amazing. Don't you want to be a part of this? Don't you want to book? And making that process very, very easy for them to say, yes, I do want to book. I'll just push that button and book it.
I can't agree more on asking, being brave enough to ask clients to book you. Asking people and making it easy for
Mm-hmm.
people to say yes. It's incredible what people do. Like if I ask all of you watching right now to hit the thumbs up button for me, give this video a thumbs up, I'm sure some of you are going to go do it. So hopefully don't hit the other one. But, that's, people just need to be reminded that these things are there to be used. Remind people that you do have, sessions that you want to book, that, there's an urgency to booking because of seasonality and stuff. So yeah, you need to be asking for it. So I love the fact you mentioned that a few times. Here's an interesting one from Jim and Judy. I hope they've never been clients of yours. How do you deal with difficult clients where no matter what you do, they complain? I don't like my pictures. How come I don't look like whoever? How do you deal with those difficult clients? I'm sure you don't have any.
I think I've been fortunate thus far to not have a ton of truly difficult clients. I'm trying to, pinpoint in my mind one or two that I've had over the years. I think I remember someone once telling me that they never shy away from booking other people's difficult clients because if you love on them hard enough, they'll be yours for life and they might not be difficult. And I've had a couple of experiences with clients like that who were not ideal clients for other photographers, and those photographers sent them my way. And once I kind of took the time to understand where their hangups were, why, are they upset because of the way I pose them? Are they upset because of the lighting or, whatever it is? But you're never going to make someone look like Cindy Crawford if they don't look like Cindy Crawford. We're photographers. We're not magicians. And setting expectations so that people know you don't retouch a ton. You don't slim people. You don't, remove every wrinkle on people's faces. My clients rarely ask. And when they do ask, I usually am very understanding about this is important to you or this is something that's a hang up for you. But I don't think I get a lot of clients who are super difficult that way.
Yeah, that's a cop out. You never answered the true question. I'm sure you must have.
I think, I was going to also say, I think that there's different pricing ranges, and there are certain clients in certain pricing ranges that are going to want everything for nothing, and they're going to also be more picky. And so if you hit that really sweet spot, I feel like I'm in a very sweet spot for pricing where I get the clients who love everything they get. They don't try and bargain shop, and they also don't expect me to be their servant. Yeah. So
yeah, again, in my career, I found the clients who were price sensitive and who were concerned about the price tended to be the ones who ultimately didn't want to pay for anything and would complain about anything.
Yeah.
So
and I want to be clear, like you have to charge what you have to charge for your area. But if you're going to be in the lower price range of your area, you're going to get usually the clients who want everything for nothing.
And a huge thank you to all of you who just went and hit that thumbs up. It works. See, a whole bunch of them just did it. So yeah, ask and you shall get. Here's a great question from a great name. Harp Irish Dance Company asks, what questions should we ask when we're looking for a photographer that will create beautiful personal images like yours? What questions should they ask of the photographer?
Well, that's a good question. Always ask to see not just their portfolio, but ask if you can see several full galleries of their work. As photographers, you can put anything you want in your portfolio, and it can just be your best 20 images from 10 years of photo shoots. And I think it's really important if you're looking for a photographer to not just see their best, but to see a comprehensive whole session. Then you know what you're going to get, and there are no surprises. And if you don't get from them what was, in those galleries, then you have a right to be upset because they weren't giving you what they promised. So I think that's an important thing. Don't just ask to see a portfolio. See the whole experience, the whole gallery of images.
Yeah, and it's something that's nice about, little plug for SmugMug here, when you have a customer using SmugMug like you do, and they have the client section that has, just dozens upon dozens of shoots there, many of them available to see, that shows this consistency that time after time they can deliver for that client. It's not just the cherry picked 20 beautiful images
Right.
that they managed to do. It's just time after time they did the job and knocked it out the park
Yeah.
repeatedly, and it just shows you can
This
do
is
the
where
job.
I like to make all of my galleries, as long as my clients are fine with it, which most clients are, my galleries are public. And that is for that precise reason. I rarely get clients who are upset about what they got at the end of the day, because if they've done their homework and they've looked at my other galleries, they see exactly what they're going to get, and I deliver that.
Nice comment here from Kenneth. Says nice walkthrough and many good points. Thank you,
Thanks,
Kenneth. We
Kenneth.
appreciate those comments. I'm conscious of the time, but we'll make this the last question.
Yeah.
Apologies, folks, but this is the last one for today. Gabrielle asks, did you consider that at this moment it's a good time to move up in your prices to a more specialist market?
I think I'm very aware and conscious of my pricing always. And the way that I've always addressed my pricing is when the demand is there, then my pricing goes up. That's just the way I handle an overwhelming demand. I think specializing, there's a lot of arguments for specializing and for upping your prices because you're a specialist in a market. I just like to think of myself as being specialized in a lot of different areas. And I don't necessarily price myself higher because I specialize. I price myself higher because the demand is there.
Yeah. Good point. Right. Apologies if I haven't covered your point. There was a few maybe that I've skipped over there, but I'm conscious of the time today. Before I say my thanks to Meghan, I'm going to ask you one more favor. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification. That way you'll be notified whenever we release another episode of SmugMug Live. This is the last one of the week, and what a wonderful way to finish the shows this week. Meghan, thank you so much for your time, for your
Thanks for having
insight
me.
and your knowledge. I miss catching up with you. Hopefully we can do it relatively soon. Hope so, at some point.
Thank you so much for having me, Alistair.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. A lot of beautiful clients on there as well, giving you some love in the comments as well. So thank you to those who tuned in. And we will see you back here for another episode of SmugMug Live on Tuesday next week. But for now, wherever you are in the world, stay safe, be kind, look after each other, and we'll see you back here for another episode. Meghan, thank you so much. Bye, everybody.
Bye.